Hello fellow map makers, welcome to another live map making session. I hope you're all doing fine and you can hear me. Let me know whether the sound is okay or not. At least I don't seem to have forgotten to turn on the microphone like last time. And we can hopefully start. Yes, thank you very much. Sound seems to be fine. Excellent. Then we are all set for another hour of map making goodness. It's the start of the month, and with that, as usual, we have the latest annual issue to show off and try out, and that's what we're gonna do tonight. I'm Ralph Schermann of Pro Fantasy Software, and I'm gonna demonstrate the new style for you tonight. It's another overland style, another from our selection of new artists that we've been looking for around and having them try out a map making style. So it's again perhaps a little similar in type like the Bubblegum Fantasy from, I think it was April. We had that, and we'll give this a look tonight. Because it's another overland style, so nothing new technically in this one. I'll approach this a little bit differently. I want to basically customize the style as I go along. You might always have a style that you don't like as much as others, or you would like certain changes, and I want to show you how to do that for a map. And keep an eye on just change some stuff from the basics in this one and show you how to do that. As usual, if you've got any questions, please do post them in the chat. I'll be happy to show stuff on screen that I can, and there's lots of knowledgeable people in the chat who can help out. And that way everybody can learn something from your questions. Yeah, I already see the comments that there's not enough cats in this video. This is certainly the case. The resident cat is sleeping on the sofa on the other side of the apartment, enjoying the cooling down after the heat wave broke yesterday. She didn't like that 35 degrees we had at all. So the 22, 24 that we have today is much nicer. Alright, let's have a look at the map style. As you can see on screen, it's a pretty colorful one, bitmap style with strong, vibrant colors in it. And we'll have a look how we can create a map with this and perhaps change some of the colors in it a little bit and adjust it to our personal liking. So to start off, we're gonna start a new map. I'm not gonna modify the template right away, and I'm gonna make all the changes to the current map and see how we can then perhaps later make a new template for that or something like that. So let's pick the overland map type, and then click next, and then we've got the regional fantasy. That's the name we have for the style, because it's really more suited to smaller regional maps than big continental maps. Click next, and here's our map style. As you can already see, we've got a quite strong bitmap for the sea with dark colors and lighter wave crests, or how would you ever would call that. And perhaps we want to do something different there, but let's just create the map and then bother about changing things. I'm gonna save the map in my video folder. And there's our blank sea background. Alright, so let's have a look how a landmass looks on this, and just get an impression how the map looks in general. Let's go and click on the default landmass icon up here, and then I'm gonna draw an island, I guess. For once I'm not gonna do a part of a continent or something. Let's just do an island. Here we go. Fairly dark green background, but then a lighter glow on the inside and outside on the sea. As you can see, that's pretty strong colors, nice for computer display, but if you wanted to print this, that wouldn't work as well, or it would use up a lot of print toner ink, and probably not look that good. So we might perhaps want to go for the traditional more lighter sea background, and we could do something like that as an adjustment to start. So for that, let's go change properties and then select by layer, and let's grab the background layer. That's because where the sea is on. Press D for do it, and let's try a lighter blue like in other styles. So fill style solid. We could of course choose another background fill here. We've got but we don't have a lighter bitmap texture in this, so we're gonna go for the solid, and then we're gonna grab a lighter blue color here. Let's like choose 76 perhaps. We might also just go for the more desaturated darker blue. Now let's go for this. This looks okay from this. There we go. It looks already very different, but also nice. So if you wanted to do this, you can see the dark glow on the landmass. We might perhaps want to make this a little bit darker. It looks a bit foggy on this here. Let's perhaps smaller. Let's have a look. Go to the sheet and effect setting, and land. Take a look at our glows. That's the blue outside glow. It's a medium blue, so it looks lighter on with the dark texture we had earlier, and darkening here with the very light blue sea background. So we might perhaps make it a little bit darker, 68 perhaps, but a little bit. We can always use the apply button here to see how this looks, and I quite like that. That makes the whole thing look a little bit crisper, not quite as blurry overall. Yeah, quite like that. It seems to be fine. Alright, so we've got the land shape. Let's do a little bit smaller islands around our coastline. Oops. Here we go. Just to break up the coastline a bit. And another one here. All right, that looks good. Okay, and now I'm gonna start off classically by adding a mountain range to the map. But perhaps I don't want to use my brown mountains to start with, but instead use some gray mountains. For that, we're gonna just use the varicolour version of the mountains and choose a gray color. See, then we can use these here. Let's grab some mountains and build a bit of a mountain range down this way here. Oops, okay, this is a bit small. Okay, I think there's one bit wrongly sized mountain symbol in there. Yes, one of the mountains of the varicolour versions is smaller than the rest. So I've done something wrong in the importing process there. Let's see. Yeah, it looks fine on the non-varicolour version of the mountains. Okay, so we're gonna fix this simply by going in there. Let's see, have a look which mountain that is. Info list. It's mountain large V1. Then we go into symbol manager. A symbol mountain large V1, V for varicolor, and let's scale this by size 2. And now it does fit the rest of the symbols. And since we scaled the symbol reference in the map, every time we pick the mountain from the list of symbols here, it will already use that rescaled symbol reference. And we are good with that. Go. Here we are. So this is my mountain range, and this looks a little bit star or not quite fitting on the green background, but we do have some backgrounds for the mountains in here. I'll also see that if I load up the mountain symbol catalog, and the gray mountain background is in here. So I'll just grab that and draw a bit of an outline around those mountains. Here we are. And there we've got our gray background looking fine. And now let's have a look at the hills. And we might now, just to have a little bit more color variation among the mountains, use the brown hills perhaps. Let's see whether that works together. And if we place them in here. Oh. It works. But what I'm thinking, the symbols, the hills might perhaps be a little bit smaller in comparison to the mountains. If we wanted to adjust our style, that's something we could do. It's mostly a matter of taste. But let's have a look. Say, if I want to change the whole thing in the style, or for all the symbols we are using in here, not for just a few individual ones, and I don't want to mess with the changing the symbol scale all the time, I can go in and change the scaling like I did with the mountain I corrected in this via the symbol manager. And for that we'll make sure we have all the hills in the map, symbol manager, and have a look. They are down here. They are not in the same order here as in the catalog because they were randomly selected, but that doesn't matter. Just gonna take them all and let's scale them perhaps by 0.75. And that looks quite nice, I think, and there's a little change in the style. We can use that. I can just keep the ones I already placed in here. And if I now go in and place more symbols, because the reference is rescaled, we are good, and I don't need to do any other changes like scaling the symbols as I place them. Okay, and then again they are on the green, and we have here the gray background. To mix this up, I can use the brown mountains background. So go in here and just outline them with a mountain background tool. Here we are. And now I want to sort all the symbols, and there I can show you the little thing I added. If you go to symbols, you see an entry here, and now sort all symbols in map. I realized, since I was mostly sorting all the symbols anyway, I might as well have a little macro in there that does that, so no selection is needed. I just click this, and Cartographer takes care of that and sorts everything. This will be added to your installation if you run the update, the latest update for C3 Plus again, no matter whether you already installed that or not, and you don't need to re-download because it just pulls the new macro file and the menu changes from the web. And then once you've done that, you should have the sort all symbols in map command in here as well. If I just want to check something here, if I go on the terrains mountain sheet and hide everything else, you'll see these two are on the same sheet, and the overlap there for the edge fade doesn't work because it's on the same sheet. It doesn't really matter here because that overlap is really hidden behind all the symbols. You can hardly see this anywhere here, just if you look exactly. But if you wanted to change that and not have that, maybe a bit perfectionist here, we can just add a second terrain sheet, terrain mountains, oops, 2. I could of course name it terrain hills as well, but then I would need to change the drawing tool because then it doesn't go on there automatically. So I'm just going to call it mountains 2, and then I'm going to move this polygon over to mountains 2, and now I of course need to add the sheet effect to that as well, but I'm just going to add the inner edge fade here, copy that and paste it on the new sheet. And if I hide everything but the two sheets, you can see now we do have the soft transition in the middle as well. All right. So this way we do have the brown hills, a bit of more of a contrast with these. I'm going to do the same here. Place the hill symbols. And then the terrain mountains background. And I'm going to sort all the symbols, and all nicely sorted. And if I want to do some hills on the other side without the brown, I could perhaps grab just some green hill, take some hills in green color. So I'm just going to grab color 99 for the varicolor hills and add some green hills on the other side of the mountains. Oh, they blend very nicely into the green background, and I quite like that. All right, there we are. I already quite like that. Looks already quite a bit different from what I've done with example maps, mostly through the seek background, but still also the little bit of size variation with the hills is nice. Good, so much for that. And now we do want to do a bit of river work, so I'm going to click on the river, click on the river drawing tool, going to grab my default river, start up here, and just draw my river all the way to the coast there. Yeah, and the river is so small that the blue outline basically covers all. Oh, just if I zoom out, you can see a little bit of the brighter color in the center. Yeah, but it's, if I wanted to change that a little bit, I can make the river wider, or I can make the coast outline smaller. Yeah, I think I might just make the river a little bit wider. So I'm gonna choose, gonna extract properties on the river to see this width 3. So I'm gonna change line width to 5. And that way I can see the bloom more clearly here. Yeah, that's good. And if I want to keep those river sizes a little bit on the different from the default style and reuse these, what I can always do is I can use the current width river I have in here. So just click that and then change the width to the 5 I had earlier. And this way I have the same here. And then I'm gonna grab a smooth lake, draw a bit of a lake up here, and then I'm gonna grab the properties of the hills here to get the same green and just place some hills around. And what I forget, of course, is I only rescaled the brown hills. I didn't scale the varicolour hills. So if I want to keep this in line with the others, what I can do the same here, symbol manager, check out for there's all my varicolour hills, scale, and we've still got the 0.75 in here. There we are, and now our green hills are also a bit smaller, and what we would do then is fill up the gaps because the individual symbols are smaller and we'll have some gaps between the stuff we've placed on the map. So I'm going to fill that up. There we go. Symbols, sort all symbols on the map. Alright, quite good. And now let's have a little bit look at the structures, because I want to change a bit in here. So you can see we've got a selection of basically the 3D designs and rendered by the artist, and they are fairly large in comparison to the mountains. So if I grab the city here, I can see they are big, which is okay. It's a design choice, but perhaps you might want it a little bit smaller. And here I guess I am going to try that out and see whether this can be done a little bit differently. To test that, I'm going to just play around with the sizing here of the symbol. First, say I want to make it quite a bit smaller. See if I wanted to place a town here, something like that, perhaps. And then I'm going to when I've got the size I want around, I'm going to click, and I can see I'm almost at 0.5 size of the map. Okay, I'm going to set it back to normal. And now I'm just going to want to place all the symbols in the map. I want to rescale all the symbols to keep them matching to each other. I could of course go through here and just click everything so they're all in the map. What I can also do, I can do symbol manager and import all of them. That way I don't have to click on all of that. I just have to go into my program data folder for Campaign Cartographer 3+, to symbols, maps, 2025 regional fantasy, choose a symbol catalog and just import the structures. And now they should, okay, that's some, there they are, but the symbol manager will not always show them right away. Yeah, we need to reload or restart Campaign Cartographer. Let me try with the reload. I'm just gonna reload this here, see whether that's enough. Yes, there they are. Then they all become visible in the symbol manager. Okay, put them at the front. Interesting. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of them. Also the one I've already placed in the map, and scale them by 0.5. All right. Yeah, Sue just tells me in the chat that people have been asking for a session on the DJ Vandal old school Renaissance style, and I'm sure I'm gonna be able to do that later this month as the game session. I'm happy to do that. Alright, so now I can go in the catalog again. I've changed the defaults. And then, as you can see, even with scale 1, I'm at the smaller size here I want for my map. Nice. And now I'm thinking I'm gonna place some settlements down here. Now I can village here, a settlement. See with the bridge. Let's do a bridge here and mirror the bridge for a crossing in the other direction down here. We can always add a castle. The castle could perhaps be a little bit larger in comparison to the rest. So let's do it like this. Just wanted to add here. So let's have a look. I'm 1.5 now. So let's go in and find this castle and scale that by 1.5. But then of course I need to remove that because that scaled the reference, set it back to normal. There we are. Sort all the symbols. I want to move it a little bit. Perspective is a little bit different. There we go. Okay, I like the size, but I'm thinking I might want to have the structure symbols a little bit more highlighted on the map. They don't have any effects on them, so if I had a light dark glow on them, perhaps I would like it better. Let's give it a try. To do that, I do need to put them on their own sheet because I definitely don't want any glow on the mountains. So I'm gonna move to sheet. By layer structures, press D, and I'm gonna do symbols, structures, sheet. Move that just in front of the symbols there, and then I'm gonna have a try and do a little glow on there. Should be a dark glow, but no strength and a small blur radius. That's definitely not enough. Let's do this. There we go. Perhaps. And this way they're just a little bit more prominent on the map, and I quite like that. Yeah, I'm happy with that glow, and that makes them a little bit more visible. Good, so next up I'm gonna need some more terrain features, like I want some farmland here around the rivers, so I'm gonna go to the terrain drawing tools, and we've got some farmland here. And I'm just gonna fill the area between the two rivers here. And also section here and a little bit on the other side of the river. But what I'm already seeing, since I made the structure symbol smaller. I think I would also like to have the farmland texture a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna click the extract properties button on the edge of the farmland, and this gives me the farmland fill style up here. And see, this is the size. As you can see, the scale in the source textures are not square. They are this relation here to each other. So if I want to change them, say perhaps 2/3, I'm gonna put in a factor in here times 0.33. Just copy that and put it in the other field as well. And that way I don't have to calculate the sizes myself. Cartographer takes care of that. And yeah, I think that's nice. Does still fit the hills and mountains quite nicely and suits these smaller structure symbols better. Good, excellent. Next up, we're gonna look at some of the trees. Again, they are also basically scaled pretty much for the settlements, so we want to make them smaller as well. Let's have a look here. And but thinking they might actually could look nice. Oh, I think they are quite okay here. A bit hard to see on the background. Or do I want to make them a little bit smaller? Yeah, especially in comparison to the hills and the mountains, I want them to make them a little bit smaller. So what I'm gonna do similarly to the other. Although it's just 6 symbols if I remember correctly, and the matching varicolor ones. So I'm just going to pick them from the catalog here. 3 deciduous trees and 3 pine trees. And then you see the mixed trees here, but this is just the same symbols again, using the same references with different names to just be able to randomly select all of them together. So I'm going to grab those as well, symbols, and here look at all the tree symbols, select all of them and scale them by 0.67. So let's have a look. Grab the trees here. And some pine trees in the hills. Yes, they are quite a lot smaller now, but they do look nice. That small trees always means you have to a lot more work placing them, unless of course you do use the drawing tools for that. So let's give that a try. Go in here. Probably run into a problem here because if I scale the size, the macros for the tools for placing them in an area might not work exactly. So let's have a look. So let's go in there and let's go for the mixed tree here. Just outline the area. As you can see, it's perhaps a little bit sparse. It looks okay, but might be a little bit more denser. I was just thinking about how to best do this in here. I could just one thing One little trick you can do is just run the tool again on the same area. So let's have a look. Go into draw, symbols in area. That's the tool we just used with the one here. And load up the tools. These are in System, Draw Tools, Original Fantasy. No, sorry, System Fillers. And then Annual. And then the CC 223 Mixed Forest. Open this. See. Okay. Select the area and run that again. And you basically, because it's a random distribution, it's not going to be the same again, and you get double density. You just need to sort the symbols afterwards, and this way we have a nicely already pretty dense forest. I actually quite like that. What we of course also can do is double the density in the tool. So what we can do is we could just draw our forest background. Was fine. Oh, didn't I include a forest background tool? That's an oversight. Normally want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the forest mixed and just add the forest background tool. And just uncheck the macro option. That just leaves the tool that draws the background thing. It's a semi-transparent polygon, which just makes stuff darker. In here, see, you just get the dark patch where the forest goes. And then I'm going to draw symbols in area. Have a look here, and the thing is we have the setting here for the thing that covers density most is the chance to place. Basically, you get a spot in the fill that the drawing tool wants to place a mountain in, and decides with a coin flip whether it does place a tree at that point or not. And if you want to make it a lot denser, we can just increase this. So let's do 80%, but 80% chance to place. We could save the setting as a new one. So let's just do that. See if this is the one we had. And so we can just say mixed forest dense. Select the area. And there's it's not quite as dense as the previous one. So what we're going to do, we make chance even higher. Make it 90% chance to place. And there we are. And that looks quite good. And this way we can have smaller mountains, smaller forests, smaller trees, and without too much extra work. So let's have a look. Let's grab the mixed trees tool here and just add some more trees among the hills here. This is just going to be sparser tree areas along the river. All right, and just have a quick look and on the chat, and people mentioned that you can do things in same kind of things in many different ways in Campaign Cartographer, and that's absolutely true. So many different ways to do things. You can duplicate more stuff in lots of different ways. You of course might also want to put the trees on their own sheet for their own sheet effects, but I quite like that these blend a little more less than the structure symbols. So I'm going to leave them on the main symbols sheet here. What I'm going to do now is have a look at the roads. So I'm going to go structures symbol, or no, here with the default road tool. I right click that for the different options. So let's grab the default road. And this style uses just a white, partially transparent line to make roads just a bit lighten the area they're going through. See that like this here. And so you get this pale track that shows the roads. So I went for something a little bit different there, and I quite like that. So I'm going to leave this here, but then for the path, let's have a look. Connect this to the road, and this is a dotted line or dashed line. And I'm thinking I might want this a little bit, the dash a bit shorter in this style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this so that I hit the farmland edge there. That's why I see this fill style farmland. If I click here, see that's solid white 30. That means a 30% transparency solid white. And the line style path. And I'm going to go into the line style. And I can see in here that's basically a 50-50 skip and draw of the line, but it's fairly long because the pattern length is 12 foot. So let's do a third of that, just 4 units. Okay. And then you've got a much more dotted thing here. And I like that. Let's try that and grab the path. So all these changes we've been making are just within this map, and while we're working in this map, it will apply the changes to the style. But if I started a new map from the template, they would revert back to their original. That way we don't overwrite anything. We can of course make the changes directly in the template, but then to get it back to normal, we'd have to reinstall the annual and overwrite all our changes. Okay, and let's have a bit of a look here and build a little bit more area on the map and have a go here at the, no, that's the structures. I wanted to go to the mountains again and grab some more hills. Grab the green color from the hills down here. Build a bit more of a hilly area here. Some more hills here. Then go back to our, and we can use the mixed, or let's use the deciduous forest here for some sparser areas of trees. Same here. And if you wanted to fill it up a bit without doing quite as dense up north, we can just plop some individual trees in. And I always like to sprinkle a few trees around the other areas of the map. Some, at least some vegetation at least. Go. So here on the other side, I'm thinking for more of darker, denser forest. So I'm gonna go for the pine forest. And I can just draw that over the green hills, I think. Let's give it a try. Dark and dangerous forest. Of course it's not as dense yet as we want it to be. So what we're going to do is we are going to go into the draw symbols in area again, and here we've got the pine tree selected because the drawing tool loaded the new setting. It's all loaded in here, and I can just rerun it on this, and once more, to make a much denser forest. Like it. I might even go one more step, do it once more. There we go. I might just for variety sprinkle in some. You can also mix and match that. What you could do is go for the draw symbols in area, load up the deciduous forest setting, and run that again on the same shape. Though they're a bit, some of the trees are quite a bit larger. Do I want that? No, I want to keep the pine forest block. So I'm going to do this, and then just do a sort symbols in map. And this way we have a nice large forest here. And I can now go in and do a bit more settlements. Probably something dangerous here coming out of the forest, so we'll have a castle sitting in this pass here, making sure the settlements on the other side are protected from whatever's coming out of that. Perhaps some ruins here. Oh, actually, but what we need to do, because we do want to have our structure symbols on their own sheet. So what I'm going to do to make sure this happens in the map, I'm going to do a little update on the symbols here. Let's have a look for our structure symbols. All of the structures. Do we have all of them? No, there we go. Options, and we're going to put here that they should go on symbol structures by default. That means if I grab the fortress now, it will automatically go on this symbol structures sheet. Same like the villages and the hamlet, and also the ruin. Just have to be a bit careful because it's on top of the new sheet, so the trees will always be behind those. And have to be a bit careful with the overlap. And I can of course always change that if I wanted to have some ruins here deep in the trees. Probably the forest has swallowed up some older settlements, and then I just need to move these afterwards to the normal symbol sheet and do sort symbols and maps. And now the ruins are nicely nestled among the trees. Now I want to have the road again. Make this lead up to the castle here, and then just some smaller paths to the settlements. There we go. Nice. All right. That's all the main changes to the style done. I wonder what I don't quite like now is this rather sharp coastline here with the trees. That's because I did use the tool and just roughly outline that. I can, of course, what I normally do is just go in, grab the pine trees and put some more pine trees along the coast here to break that up, but that does not give me the dark background of the forest. Should probably just have run that forest all the way up to the coast with the trace tool. That's too late now. I'm not gonna redo this, but what I could do is just run the swamp tool along there. So I'm gonna grab the terrain default swamp, start here, then press T for trace, grab the coastline, start here, go all the way up north, and then just run the inside along the edge of the forest. There we go. And you can see we have the transition there. So what I'm going to do is going to extract properties on the swamp. I might perhaps also want to make this fill style a little bit smaller. So I'm going to multiply that by 0.5. Okay. That is a bit weird. I thought the area had the same size. Right. I might not have rescaled this bitmap texture. Let's... No, it doesn't really matter. It looks fine. The only thing I wanted to do in the terrain swamp here is make the edge fade a little smaller. So make it 0.5 edge fade width. That way it's a little bit more prominent there on the coast. And this is nice. Like this. Only thing is now the island here looks a little bit strange without any features. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this symbols again, the hill symbols again. Like this. But here I'm also gonna... Here I could perhaps use the volcano we have in this style here. Grab that, put that in the middle. The mesa is a bit large perhaps in comparison. So I can make that smaller. Here well, let's do that in this style as well. So let's go symbol manager. Scale this to 0.67, that's fine. And now I'm gonna, well, it's default scale again. So put a couple here. And ridge up here. And then add a bit, I think I'm going to remove the green hills. And just add Badlands texture to the whole island. To do that, I'm going to follow the coastline. I'm going to start on a point on the coastline, then trace it all the way around. And if I refresh and see, we've got an edge fade effect again, which I want to make a little bit smaller. Terrain, Badlands, edge fade inner. Let's also make that 0.5. And so we've got a fiery volcanic island here on the edge of the map. Good, and I'm getting fairly close to the hour mark, so let's just see that I quickly fill up the rest of the area here with some forests. Grab some trees for the islands here. Because I also want to add some text labels to the map. Perhaps I want a few more structures, so I'm going to add a tower here on near the bay entrance, lighthouse probably. And I can put it on top of the hill because conveniently my symbol sheet is above the hills. And town somewhere. Here, up by the lake. Then I think we're gonna need another road. Start from here. Oh, actually, I want to have that like the bigger road. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change that by change like draw tool. I want the road default look. Select this. Okay, that has not quite worked. I think it's gone on the defaults because I wasn't on the sheet and the change like drawing tool doesn't respect the sheet. I need to move this to the roads sheet. And there we are. That's how it's supposed to be, but I don't like this path here now and want to change that. So I'm going to erase this bit, but not the farmland. And then grab the path again and start from here. There, that's better. Alright, so let's try out some text. The default text in here is a bright text. See how that looks. I'm going to white text. Text label. Where are we? There we go. And I'm going to start out by labeling the first here. Just going to draw a line because I want to create a text along a path. And then I'm going to go draw text along a curve. I hope I probably hit a symbol there. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze everything but that text labels layer that way. I'm sure I hit the curve. And we call this the hungry forest, because I'm imagining it eats all the people that try to settle there. But the text is a bit large, and I might perhaps with my style redesign also change my font a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm change text properties. I'm going to select this text and marriage script. Let's say what I have got in the selection here. Let's go for more fonts. Got a nice treasure map font. If I can find it, treasure map descent. That's the one. And I can change the height now, though, because it's always different from font to font. I will probably have to redo this. Yeah, this. Oh no, it's actually turned out the 20 is quite okay. So that looks good. Hungry Forest. I might want to change my style here a bit. Could even perhaps a little bit larger. Let's change text properties and make this perhaps 24 or 22. That's a question from Sue whether I'll be updating the templates the same way. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm running out of time here. And this is just to show how to personalize the style for someone. I don't want to update the style as it is in the annual, so I'm not going to be changing the templates here. I just want to change the properties on this and put it on the sheet text dark and give it a dark green, so to match the forest. And that's quite a nice way to label this as well. Might be a bit more readable here in this style of map. And there you've got a version of the drawing style, which is already quite different from what came out of the box with the annual. And I hope you learned a little bit on how you can adjust the style. If you can take this map, erase everything from it, save it as a template, and then you'll have everything here set up like this. All the symbol scales and the bitmap fills when you start a new map like that. Of course, you can just save it on a different name and just start the map from scratch without making a template. That works just as well. And that's how you can adjust a style to your liking. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed our little session tonight, and see you again next week. If you like our video tutorials, please give the channel a like and perhaps a subscribe, and that makes it a little bit more visible in the whole huge crowd of YouTube video channels. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Bye bye.